Hi folks, Dixie and I are here, right here in our office. And I did something on Facebook that I haven't tried before, but hey, I'm all for new things. I'm all for innovation. And innovation in this case means I asked you to give me questions, things you wanted to know about my work, my spirituality, anything you wanted to ask me that you would ask me at a physical appearance were I able to come into your living room and have a chat with you. And you came up with some great questions, and I'm really jazzed to answer them. So what I said I would do, and this is what I'm doing right now, is I have my iPad right here. I do. On my iPad is my Facebook app with all of your questions. I'm going to answer your questions as the questions came in, and I'm going to answer them to the best of my ability. And I hope that this will be a cool thing. And if so, we can maybe try to do it again. That's Parker, who sounds a little bit like Darth Vader. This is where my arm is. This is where Parker is, right here, aren't you, buddy? He would like to jump up like Dixie did, but he's 11, and he's not quite up to that. Anyway, I apologize in advance. Due to issues of age beyond my control, I can no longer even fake reading without my glasses. So as I go to answer your questions, I'm going to put my glasses on so that I can see the question and then take them off so that I can see you and answer. Don't even ask. It's complicated. Anybody who is over 50 years old knows exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, shall we get started? What do you think? You guys asked great questions. I'm not going to say who asked the question because I'm going to post this to YouTube and you may or may not want to be that public. So here we go. The first question that I received was, Lynn, you've talked a little bit about your past. I assume that she means my childhood, and I have not at any point hidden my past, and I will talk more about that in a minute. With everything that has happened, how do you find the strength to be vulnerable again? Well, let me say a couple things. First of all, as I said, I have talked openly many times about my childhood, which involved dozens and dozens and dozens of rapes, 74 broken bones, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. I have not shied away from this topic because I believe that I am here to teach. I am here to show the way. And how do you find the strength to be vulnerable again? You know, I think over time, I've dealt with it in different ways. When I was much younger and still angry, I dealt with it by really getting angry and saying, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong. For every time that you said that I would never amount to anything, for every time you said I could never succeed, for every time you said that I was damaged and that no one would want me, for every time you said that I would never amount to anything, I'm going to prove you wrong. And that's exactly what I set out to do. And for many years, I was fueled by that desire to prove those who had wronged me wrong. I desired to show them that I was going to be successful, that I was going to do everything that I set out to do. And in fact, I did for quite some time. I had a wonderful career. I've done a lot of things in my life, of which I'm very proud professionally. And I'll get to a little bit more of that later. But the key to what you asked was, how do you find the strength to be vulnerable again? So, as I said early on, it was anger and a desire to prove that I was more than they thought I was, more than they said I was, more than they believed I was. That's what fueled me early on. It is nowhere near what fuels me anymore. I have, over time, learned so much about myself, about my strengths, about who I am and what I am and why I am. And, at this point, I have well forgiven everyone and everything. When you forgive, let me just veer a little bit and say that when you forgive, forgiveness is not for the people who have wronged you. Forgiveness doesn't mean you're okay with what happened to you. Forgiveness simply means that you are unwilling any longer to live with toxic anger inside yourself. Because when you carry unforgiveness inside yourself, when you carry anger about what people who have done things that are unkind to you or situations that have been unfair to you, really the only one you're hurting is yourself. Because that energy lives inside of you. It doesn't live inside of anybody else. It doesn't live inside of them. It lives inside of you. And so truly, the best gift you can give yourself is forgiveness. forgiving yourself for anything you believe you've done wrong. Recognize that you did the best you could at the time with what you had to work with. And when you know better, do better. Forgive others who have wronged you because, again, it is for you to forgive. It doesn't mean hang out with them. It doesn't mean you ever have to talk to them again. It just simply means that you forgive them, you hold back no unforgiveness. You set them free and you set yourself free. And that is the truth. Now, the key word, as I said in what your question was how do you find the strength to be vulnerable again? And the truth is, great love is worth the risk. Living is worth the risk. It's worth the risk because if you're not willing to live, if you're not willing to love and to live with your heart wide open, what is the point? Essentially, what you're saying is, I'm just going to exist. I don't want to live anymore. Well, let me tell you, I want to live every second of my life to the fullest that I can. And that means living with a heart wide open. That means that I forgive easily. It doesn't mean I forget, but it means that I forgive easily. It means that I am willing to open my heart and my soul and my being to great love because I've had great love. And let me tell you something, there's nothing in the world like that. And who wouldn't want to experience that? So again, making yourself vulnerable means making yourself open to the possibilities, open to the possibility of great love, open to the possibility of joy, of happiness. Without those things, we're just existing, we're not living. Work on discernment. Talk about learning how to discern those situations, relationships, people in your life who are in the light, acting in integrity, and who have a good moral compass, and those that no longer serve you, those that are wearing a false face, those that are deceiving you in some way. Ask the universe to help you with discernment, to help you to know and recognize those situations that are positive for you and helpful to you and will help you grow, and those relationships that will help you grow, and those people who are truly helpful and who are truly acting in integrity, and those who are not. And try to work on attracting to yourself those situations that you want to attract, those that are in line with who you want to be and who you choose to be. You choose who you choose to be. I choose to be vulnerable because it makes me human. I choose to be vulnerable because it allows me to have so many beautiful experiences, to have great love, to have incredible relationships with friends, with family, with others. I choose love. I choose love. And to choose love, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. And so I am. And I hope that you will find your way to make yourself vulnerable as well. Sorry, that was a little bit longer than I intended it to be. I'll go more quickly now, but that was a big question to start with. Thank you for the question. That was a fabulous question. The next question is, what made you decide that now was the time to write Final Cut? Final Cut is my brand new book. It is just being released today. In fact, the print books will arrive here. This is the fourth book in the Kate and Jay series, my most beloved characters. It's also the sequel to All That Lies Within, which featured Dara and Rebecca, one of my most popular books. And it features a bunch of other characters who you will recognize if you've read my books throughout the years. Why now? I said for many, many years, I wrote the last book in the Kate and Jay series 10 years ago. It was called The Value of Valor. And I was not ready. I believed that it was a complete trilogy. I didn't anticipate writing another book in this series, but over time, all of you asked over and over and over again for another Kate and Jay book. And I absolutely was adamant that I would never write another Kate and Jay book until I believed I had something to write that was worthy of the characters. All these years, I've known what Jay would be doing when she grew up. Remember when we met these characters 13 years ago for the first time, they were in their 20s, and now they're in their 50s. I have advanced the plot 30 years in Final Cut, and I finally found a plot that is worthy of these characters, that is worthy of bringing them back and revisiting them. And I'm very grateful to be able to do that for you. I will also tell you that if you haven't read any of the Kate and Jay series, or even All That Lies Within, don't worry about it. I wish you'd read them, of course, but don't worry about it because this book stands by itself. final cut. You can read this book and you will not have felt like you missed anything. You won't feel like you don't understand what's going on. I promise you, you will understand what's going on. But having said that, please go back and read the beginning of the series and go all the way through the books. I think you will really, really enjoy them. At least I hope you will. So why Final Cut? Now's the time, and I really hope that you all will enjoy it. By the way, before I go any further, I will show you what my shirt says because you're going to want to know. Do what you love what you do. How's that? Life is good. The next question is, do you believe everyone has a guardian angel? I love this question. I love questions about spirituality. Yes, everybody has at least one guardian angel, and in many cases, many of us have more than one guardian angel. Sometimes a guardian angel is an archangel, the highest realm of angels. Sometimes it is a loved one who has passed over. Sometimes it may be someone we have never met. Sometimes it may be a beloved pet that is on the other side. So we have many forms of guardian angels. We all have guardian angels. They are all around you. If you want to get to know your guardian angels better, simply ask them to introduce themselves to you. And by the way, this is particularly successful while you are sleeping. Why? Because while we are sleeping is the time when we are most open and most available and most receptive to information coming into us. This is why angels often talk to us and give us ideas in our sleep. Before you go to bed, you might ask them to help you remember in the morning what it was you dreamed, what it was they gave you, what information they gave you, what insights, information, lessons they taught you in the night, because they always are. And if you ask, they will help you to remember. And ask them, invite them into your dreams. Invite them into your dreams to talk to you and to give you guidance and information, and they absolutely will do that. And that, of course, leads to my next question. Perfect lead-in. The question was, I would love to know my spirit guide's name so I don't have to keep saying, hey, you. Could you ask for me, please? And the answer to that is I could ask for you, and in fact, I did ask for you before I started recording. But the bottom line is your guardian angel would like very much for you to ask the question rather than for me to give it to you. So sit down, spend some time in meditation, just spend some time being quiet and just thinking, and ask and invite your guardian angel to come to you and ask your guardian angel to give you her name. I'm giving you a clue, it's a her. Is asking you to ask her for her name. And as I just answered in the previous question, oftentimes they will do this by speaking to us while we are asleep. So ask to remember. And by the way, even if you don't consciously remember your dreams or you don't consciously remember the information they are giving you, I promise you they're giving it to you. And oftentimes it's your subconscious, your higher self, that knows the answer and will carry it with you and will help you just in terms of knowing that. Your next question was, when will Final Cut be available on Amazon? Here's a little primer. As far as I know, it's available. The print version is available on Amazon right now, just as it's available via my website. The ebooks, I am waiting right now on the ebook file to appear for me, both the Kindle file and the EPUB version. And as soon as they do, I will check those, make sure that they are everything they need to be. And then I will release them first on in my web store, on my website, www.lynames.com, or you can go to directly to my publisher website at www.phoenixrisingpress.com, all one word. .com. And I encourage you, if you can, to buy directly from me that way. Why? Several reasons. First of all, Amazon doesn't pay me for 90 days from the time you make the purchase. I won't see that money for 90 days. And I do like feeding my dogs, and occasionally, I get hungry too. Beyond that, Amazon takes a hefty cut off the top of my books. So much so that for a $14.95 print book, I get about $2 from Amazon for that book. When you buy it from me, I get a lot more than that. And so I really, really appreciate and heart those of you who will buy directly from me. I promise every print book that you buy from me, I will autograph and personalize for you, and I will get it out in the mail the same day or the next day. I can give you services just as quick as Amazon. And in terms of the ebook, you can download them directly to your Kindle, to whatever it is. Just make the purchase from whatever device you're going to be reading on. and it will come directly to you, and it will be resident on your device. It's an easy process. I invite you to do that. The answer to when the ebook will be available on Amazon is probably a week from now, maybe 2 weeks. I do like to try to give myself as much time as possible to accumulate the sales that I can get directly to me. Why? Because I'm a smart businesswoman most of the time. Anyway, thank you for your support. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. I realize that some of you need to buy from Amazon, and I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that. The next question is, I know how much you adore your beloved pups. Do you think animals communicate with us in subconscious ways? I know that they hug and cuddle, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject. I think their souls communicate directly with ours, and that's what makes them so special in our lives. Yes, absolutely. Our beloved pups talk to us telepathically and empathically all the time, both on this side of the veil and the other. Our deceased pets also stay with us pretty much for our whole lives and talk to us in many, many ways. I communicate with pets all the time. You want to call me an animal whisperer? You absolutely can. I talk to my pets. I talk to Dixie and Parker telepathically all the time when I'm away from home, especially. We keep in close contact. I'll tell you a quick little story, and then I'll tell you something else. You know, Dixie came to me as a rescue when she was 8 months old, and she came from a very bad environment where she'd been badly mistreated in terms of she was with 60 other dogs, and she was completely lost and cut and, you know, just basically lost. And I rescued her from that, or she rescued me, more likely. And I wanted to crate train her. And so the first few nights I put her in the crate. She seemed uncomfortable, but, you know, she went in. And about a week or so later, I went to put her in the crate. And I didn't know she could do this with me, but I went to put her in the crate, and she looked at me. And I heard so clearly in my head, "Please don't make me do this." And I stopped what I was doing, and I looked at her, and I thought, I must be losing my mind. And I said, "Say it again." And again she said, "Please, don't make me do this." And I said to her, I answered her, I said, "Okay, I'm going to give you a shot at this, and I'm going to see if this is really true. And I promise you that I will never put you in a crate again if you promise to behave yourself out of the crate, and if you promise that you will stay safe and behave." And sure enough, I said I never made her go in a crate again. She was absolutely good as gold. She thanked me for believing in her and for trusting her. And never again did I need to use a crate with this dog. This dog has been remarkable. She is the only dog that I have ever trained like a human. Every other dog I've trained like a dog, you know. But Dixie is not trained the way other dogs are trained. I talk to her like I would talk to a person. I ask her to do things. I quietly, you know, have a conversation with her, and it works. I can't explain it. In any event, what I have discovered over time is that, yes, animals absolutely communicate with us. Sometimes they talk to us in human terms. Sometimes they talk to us in other terms, depending on what kind of past lives they've experienced. That sometimes determines how they communicate with us. It also sometimes depends on our own receptivity and openness and ability to hear them communicating with us. I have been asked on many occasions to help people find their pets, to help people diagnose what's wrong with their pets, to ask their pets what's bothering them, what's hurting them, what they need. I do this with babies too, by the way. My niece was very cold the other night. My great nephew was having a lot of trouble sleeping. And my niece, who is the only one in my family who recognizes my abilities and is willing to talk about it, and doesn't think I've lost my mind, texted me and asked me if I could help. She couldn't figure out what was going on, and I tuned into Maddox's energy, and I was instantly able to tell her what the issue was and how to resolve it. And I'm so grateful to be able to do things like that, but I do things with pets like that all the time as well. I can determine what's bothering them, what they need, what they're not telling you, or what you are not understanding correctly. I do it with Parker often. I mean, absolutely, animals communicate with us in many ways. Animals on the other side come back and see us all the time. If you want to know if your deceased pets are visiting you and you have a pet in the house now, watch where your pets look. You think they're staring off into space. I promise you, more times than not, they're looking at another animal. Probably your previous dog, your previous cat, right in front of them. They see things that we often don't see because we are limited in what we believe we can see. The only limits are really the limits we place on ourselves. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, absolutely. And I've helped pets find their way home, and I've helped owners find their pets when they've been lost as well. I love doing that, by the way, reuniting pets with their humans and helping. It's just the greatest feeling in the whole wide world. Okay, so here's someone with a lot of questions related to my work with angels. This is a very good question, and I'm glad you asked this. If you gain knowledge about a situation impacting someone you personally know, under what circumstances would you share that information? Look, I have learned a lot of things over time, and I am an angel therapist. I work with angels all the time. I work with deceased people. I'm a medium. I'm a psychic. I'm all that and a box of chocolates, I guess, whatever. My point is this. I will never, ever, ever violate someone's privacy, nor will I violate their free will. We all have free will choices. We may choose to know something. We may not choose to know something. I will only tell someone something I know if they are open to knowing it, if they want to know it. If they ask me out loud, consciously, I will tell them, absolutely. If their higher self asks me, we all have a higher self, that higher piece of our consciousness that knows everything that we need to know, honestly. But, we have to evolve enough and get quiet enough to hear what our higher self knows and what our higher self wants. So the answer is, I will not ask or tell someone something that they do not want to know. If I find out something, it is either because they have asked me to check into it or because the angels have told me. Oftentimes, most times, the angels tell me things. And I always ask, why are you telling me this? Do you want me to do something? Is there an action item for me here? Or is it that you need me to know? Do you need me to intervene? Do you need me to tell them something? Do you need me to guide them in some way? Is their higher self asking to know this, and just their conscious self has not asked to know? You'll see on Facebook, I often make spiritual posts, and you all will come in and you will say, God, I so needed to hear that today. And the reason I make the post is because the angels are guiding me. They're telling me what you need to know. And I don't always know who needs to know it. Sometimes I do know who needs to know what I'm saying. But when I say really wise things, trust that I'm wise, but I'm not that wise. That's the angels speaking through me to you, giving you the answers you need to know. So in that case, I am telling you. And sometimes it may be that it's someone that I personally know who needs to hear that message. But they need to hear it not by, me telling them specifically, but rather by me making it available to the general public, because it's a message that is universal and can help many people. That often happens. But I will never intervene, never, ever seek an answer to something, look beyond what I am meant to know or meant to see. That is not in the light. It's not in integrity, and I won't do it. I won't do it. And anyone who is worth their salt, who is a psychic or a medium or an angel therapist, will not do that. It's why I urge you to be so careful. If you seek out a spiritual counselor, be very, very careful who you choose. Be very careful. Vet them carefully. Know that they truly have your highest good in mind. I can't tell you. I can't emphasize that enough. So in answer to your question, if they ask me, I will absolutely tell them. If their higher self asks me, I will find a way to give them the information, yes. And if the angels tell me and mean for me to share it with you, I will share it with you. But beyond that, no, I will not. I will not. So I hope that helps. That's question one. Question two is there an easy way for a novice to distinguish when the law of attraction is creating a message versus a sign from the angels? That's a great question. And I'm going to get a little nitpicky here. You said to distinguish when law of attraction is creating a message. And really what you're asking is when the ego is creating a message. Our ego is the thing that wants us to be afraid, doesn't want us to succeed, wants us to doubt, to worry. That's ego. When you find yourself coming from a place of fear, like what if this happens, or what if this doesn't happen, or that's your ego. That's fear. That's worry. Push that out of the way and simply ask your angels or ask the universe or whatever you believe in to tell you whatever is for your highest good. Simply say, please help me to know what is for my highest good in this situation. Don't outline what you want to have occur, because that's you wouldn't go into a restaurant and order a sandwich and then go back in the kitchen and tell them how to make it, would you? You wouldn't get on a plane and go up front and tell the pilot how to fly. You trust that they know how to do it. You simply say, I want to get from point A to point B, or I want a roast beef sandwich. And you trust that they're going to do it. So for the things that you want to manifest in your life, all you need to do is say, whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, if it's just the universe or your higher self even, simply say, please help me to manifest this in my life: love, romance, money, or please help me with this situation. And simply give the broad outlines of a situation. It may be, please help me with my relationship with my boss. Please help me to pay my bills. Please help me with love. Please, whatever that is, that's all you need to say. And then you simply need to open yourself up to the answers, to the possibilities. And if you're not sure if you're getting a divinely guided answer or whether it's your ego, that piece of fear that is answering you, ask for signs. Signs often show up as things like numbers. I love numbers. Numbers, I get information from numbers all the time. The angels show me numbers all the time. And I keep an app on my phone and on my iPad, and I have the actual physical book. It's called Angel Numbers 101. It's by Doreen Virtue. It simply gives you every single number and what the number means in angel terms. And that will give you an answer. So if you keep seeing numbers over and over and over again, the angels are giving you a sign. The universe is telling you something. Pay attention and learn what it is they're telling you. Also, they often tell you through songs. I hear songs in my head all the time. Sometimes it's someone singing to me, and I really appreciate that. And sometimes it's I wake up with a song in the morning because I've gone to bed asking the angels a question before I've gone to bed. And often they will answer me by having me wake up with a song in my head, and the lyric in that particular verse, it may be just the verse, it may not be the entire song, it may be just the verse that I keep hearing over and over and over again. And that verse is the answer to my question. I love when they do that. And your next question, I don't even have to look to know what your next question was. It was, do angels have a sense of humor? Absolutely they do. They're very funny, actually. Here's an example, just an easy example. I was hiking one day. This was a long time ago, years ago now, about, I don't know, maybe 9, 8 years ago now. I was hiking a trail that I hike all the time. I could do it with my eyes closed, essentially. And I was asking a question. I was very upset about something, and I was asking a question of the universe, and I had already come up with my own, my ego had already come up with an answer in my head of what must be happening there. And so that's what I was thinking, and I had earphones on, I had my iPod on, and the next thing I know, I looked up and I realized that I had completely walked off the trail. Literally, physically, the angels walked me off the trail to tell me that I was off track. Literally, they told me I was off track, and I laughed my ass off, frankly. I did, and I thanked them for the crystal clarity of the message. And if you're not sure if you're getting a sign, ask them for additional signs. Ask them for signs that are obvious and easy for you to understand, that only you would understand, and they will absolutely give it to you. And be open to the answers appearing a little bit different than you might think they will, and you will absolutely know everything you need to know. Everything you need to know, kids, is available to you right now. Everything you need to know is available to you. This question is a question about Phoenix Rising Press. Would you ever consider working with other authors under your publishing company? When I created Phoenix Rising Press, I created it with the intention of working with other authors, of helping other authors who were well-established authors with experienced voices to be able to be heard. Over time, I have sort of modified my model. I have gotten many submissions over the years from authors who want to work with me, and I'm so grateful for that. I truly am. Right at this particular moment, so the short answer to your question is I have considered it, and in fact, that was my business model to begin with. But over time, I never found quite the right fit that I thought would gain that author everything they wanted to get out of the experience. And it is my absolute mission to make sure that everyone succeeds. And I wasn't always certain that they would succeed under my model. At this point in my career, at this point in my life, I am starting to diversify and focus on other things other than just books. And as a result, I'm in a place where I really need to focus on what my life purpose is. And right now, that is not publishing other authors. It doesn't mean that I won't ever consider it again. I might. I mean, hell, I publish Parker and Dixie, don't I? I might publish Lucy McMahon West when she comes up with her big book of lesbian dog stories. Hint, hint, Lucy. But right now, no, I'm very content with the way things are right at this moment, and that's where I'm going to stay for the next little while until the angels give me new guidance and tell me to do something different. Okay. Many times authors write characters that have quirks, traits, or tendencies that the author has him or herself. Have you given any of your characters a unique Lynnism? If so, what is it? Well, if I told you that, I would have to kill you now, wouldn't I? Some of my characters have some of my characteristics. They do. And in some books, multiple characters have different characteristics that you might attribute to me if you knew me. So there are some Lynnisms. Every now and again, my editor will spot a line in one of my books and she'll say, that is so you. And I'll say, yeah, you're right. There's a discussion at the beginning of Final Cut between Kate and Jay about aging. It's not giving away a spoiler. So read the beginning of Final Cut. You'll see this conversation about aging and laugh lines versus wrinkles. And yeah, that's a Lynnism for sure. So yes, sometimes I do, and sometimes I do that intentionally. Most often I do it. If I do it, I do that intentionally. But I try not to put too much of myself in my books. After all, you want to read about my characters, not me. If I had to choose one of my characters who is most like me, who would it be? There are pieces of me in several characters. No one character that I've ever created out of the 12 books I've written and the many, many characters that populate those books, no one character is completely me. It's just not. It's not. There are pieces of me in Kate. There are pieces of me in Jay. There are pieces of me in Dara. There are pieces of me in Yazi Begay in my novella in Outsiders, an anthology collection. There are pieces of me in many characters, but no one character is truly me. And I don't necessarily intentionally imbue characters with my characteristics because, that would be narcissistic, and I'm really not a narcissist. Finally, this one person, this is their final question. If I had to get stuck on a deserted island with one of my characters, which one would I want it to be? Well, it would depend on the circumstances, honestly. It would depend on why I got deserted, what else was on the island. I mean, I might need a CIA op. I might need Vaughn. I might need somebody who's got my back. Then again, I might need somebody who can write their way out of it, in which case, I might need Jay, or I might need Kate to get me through it. It depends on the circumstances, so you needed to be more specific. And honestly, if I got stuck on a deserted island, there are people rather than my characters I think I would much rather get stuck with. The next question was, will there be a Final Cut 2? Read Final Cut 1 first, and then we'll talk about whether or not you want me to write another in the series. But, one thing I learned about the Kate and Jay series, when I originally said it would only ever be a trilogy, and here we are on book 4, is never say never. So there you go. I'm not going to say that there will never be another one. I don't have any plans for one right at this very moment, and I'm not going to spoil the end of the book by telling you whether or not there could be one. You're just going to have to read and find out for yourself. Okay. Next. With regard to animals, do you think that we are reunited with them one day? I absolutely know that we are reunited with them one day. And in fact, sometimes we're reunited with them in the same lifetime. Sometimes they will reincarnate into one of our next pets. You'll start to see some characteristics of a pet you had before, or something that they love to do with you. And all of a sudden your pet shows up and exhibits that characteristic. That's how you know it is one of your pets reincarnated. You can ask them to reincarnate, and they may choose to do that, to be with you again in this lifetime. They may be channeled by one of your other pets. Dixie channels Alex for me occasionally, not because I ask her to, but simply because she does, because he's the one who brought her to me, in fact. So yes, absolutely, I believe we are reunited with them, sometimes here and sometimes on the other side as well. They do wait for us. They wait for us and they greet us just like our loved ones, our human loved ones, greet us when we get to the other side. I promise you that they do. I've watched it happen many, many, many times on this side of the veil and on the other. I've seen it happen both ways. So yes, something to look forward to, I know, to see our beloved pets again. Are you kidding me? That's fabulous. This woman says, I wrote a novel years ago. I started others over the years. Loves to write and put her heart on the page, but essentially is afraid of being too exposed when she gets published. Do I have suggestions on how to conquer that? I can write with an open heart, but even thinking about getting it published, it makes me freeze up. Well, here's the thing. I mean, I think, we all have fear when we write a book. We all have fear. Will people like it? Won't they like it? Will they think it's us? Will they know it's us if it is us? I think the best thing you can do, the first thing I would recommend that you do, is to sit down with yourself and have a conversation with yourself. Ask yourself what it is about publishing that and letting other people read it that so frightens you. What is in there that so frightens you? And I would absolutely counsel you to face that fear. Whatever that fear is, face that fear and then move forward. You need to conquer the fear before you can get to the place where you can be totally honest on the page and where you will be comfortable publishing it. It's always a little bit uncomfortable publishing a novel because you just don't know. You can't control what other people think, or what, as I often like to say, what other people think of me is none of my business. Think about it again. What other people think of me is none of my business. You can't control what other people think about you. I don't care what other people think about me anymore. I used to. For a long time, I did. I don't care anymore. I am my very best, most authentic self. Who you see here, what you see on Facebook, what you see in public, what you see in private, I am my very best, most authentic self in every instance. And because of that, I don't worry about what I put out there. People are going to internalize what I write any way they're going to do it. I can't control that. I can't control that. Ask yourself why you want to control what they think about what you write. Really, you can't sit down and conquer this until you figure out why you're afraid of it. Once you figure out why you are afraid of it, you can heal the fear, and then you can get it published. So I urge you to go ahead and go deep within yourself and find out what you're afraid of, and then heal that. And as you heal that, you will be well able to conquer your fear. You asked me for a good program that would help you to know how to format a manuscript. Every publisher asks you for something different, honey. So you can't, I can't give you something that will automatically tell you how to format it. Go to a publisher's website, look for what it is they are asking you for in terms of formatting. Generally speaking, they want something that's written probably in Microsoft Word, and it's double-spaced and whatever else, whatever they ask you for, give it to them. As I said, it's all something different, and so pay attention to their rules. I would tell you this. If you cannot follow their rules, you're automatically going to be disqualified, because if you can't follow instructions, why would they want to read what you had to write? Somebody asks me about my background. I'm not familiar with your background. If you can start off with a bit of that, that would be great. That would be great. Well, go to my website and read my bio. Here's a bit about me, a bit about my background. I grew up about 20 miles outside New York City. I am a native New Yorker. I am proud of being a New Yorker. I love my home. I don't live there right now, but I love my home, and I miss it. And as you heard earlier, I'm not going to rehash things that I've already said. As you know, I had a bit of a rough go as a young woman, as a young child, but I have learned over time to love myself and to be my very best self. In terms of my career, which is more where I think you're headed with this, so let's talk a little bit about that. I began my career in broadcast journalism. I spent years as a news director and a morning news anchor at a news talk radio station and a classic rock station. I had to do a newscast every 8 minutes, completely fresh. I ran a staff of reporters and newscasters, and I did some talk show work. I have done television talk show work. I've done radio talk show work. I was the spokesperson for the nation's third largest prison system here in the U.S. That was the New York State prison system. I was press secretary to the New York State Senate Minority Leader. I was an advocate for people with disabilities. I was vice president of a trade association that represents all the credit unions in New York State. I've done many things over time. I'm an author, as you know. I'm an angel therapist and a psychic and a medium. I wear many hats much of the time, so this is much of my background, and I bring all of that to bear in my writing and in my day-to-day living. I'm an athlete. I'm a humanitarian. I am filled with love for all of humanity, and I live my life from a place of love. I refuse to live my life from a place of fear, even though I've had many reasons to be afraid in my life. I have learned that courage means standing up and living with an open heart, and that's what I choose to do. I hope that's what you wanted to know about my background. If you have any other questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. As I said, my bio is available on my website, www.lynames.com. Okay, what else? Is that really it? What? We got through all of that, and it only took 42 minutes? I'm sorry for the length of this, but you guys had questions. You had questions you wanted answered, and I am thrilled to be able to sit here and answer them for you. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope that you've learned a little something maybe, and I really, really, truly appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate the time you spend with me on Facebook. I so love to hang out with you, to enlighten you, to chat with you, to engage with you, and to have you come to my Facebook presence, my Facebook page, and keep it and make it such a high vibrational place, such a place of love and of camaraderie and of positive energy. I appreciate that more than anything in the world, and I know that all of you appreciate that it's that kind of place too. There are many places you can go to complain or to find things to be afraid of or to get ramped up about. My page is not one of those. My page is a place where you can find humor and love and friendship and a well of good feeling. And I'm so grateful that all of you helped me to make it that place. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. If you're still tuning in, God bless you and congratulations. And thank you for the great questions. Those were fabulous questions. I loved it. Let me know. Give me feedback. I'm going to post this on Facebook now via a YouTube link. And when I do that, let me know what you think. And if you have additional questions, you can ask them there. And if you think this was a good idea and you enjoyed it, we can do it again. So you're in charge of letting me know what you thought. Okay? I love you all so much. I'm sending you all positive energy and healing and love as I do every single day. Okay? Take good care of yourself. Take good care. Yeah, I speak English for a living. Take good care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye.